he's going to talk about your achievements too. So you already achieved so much.
Big trouble.
No continue.
No.
Krishna. Krishna.
This part's going to be short, right?
This is a long thing.
Pick one or two things.
Hare
Start
Krishna.
out with he was initiated by Prabhupada in 1976 and he's married to Rukmini. Everything in between is not so important.
That's very important.
Those two parts are important.
So, Hare Krishna dear devotees, thank you all for coming to this wonderful Saturday Satsang program. I'm sure like we expect many other devotees behind. So today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Anuttama Prabhu with us. Can we say a big Hari Bol?
Hari Bol!
So Anuttama Prabhu is our GBC. So that's the first and foremost thing. Prabhu has been serving ISKCON since 1970. He's a disciple of ISKCON founder Acharya and his divine grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhu has also served in different capacities. He's also the director of communications. And Prabhu has done a lot of activities and supporting ISKCON throughout the world. So he is based out of Washington DC, but he is from Michigan. I know Ohio.
Don't say that here.
The state up north.
Straight up north. So without so many things to talk about Prabhu. Prabhu is also married with Rukmini Mataji. She is. They both live in Washington DC. at this point. So we are fortunate to have Prabhu here. Big Hari Bol one more time.
Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Hari Bol! I would also like to introduce Her Grace Kamagiri Mataji as well. So Kamagiri Mataji, thank you for coming. So I think we don't need much introduction for Kamagiri Mataji. So we are all part of one community here.
So you usually chant after that? You chant more?
Yeah.
Okay. I looked at that very empowered kirtan. I don't know what I can do. That was pretty ecstatic. did Columbus have to do the draft to get a drug play like that? Must have like tough bid against all the other universities in the country. Let's have a round of applause. So it's very nice to be here. Share a few words. What time usually is Prashad? Because if you don't know that, everybody gets very antsy. And you're happy going along talking, but they're getting very antsy. That's what's the usual stuff.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
But because he's special, you can always start.
Okay, I understand. And if it's not special, you cut it short. That's why you sit here, right? You have a hook behind the door.
Tomorrow they gotta see we can eat.
Maybe we can, you know what we can do, just change one piece across it down. Come on, Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vinata Swami Pranami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurava Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So it's nice to be back here again. I think I was here in this October. We decided it was October. And on behalf of my host, I told him, I said, I may have to move here because for me, breakfast was pancakes, which is like the best Western breakfast, with dosa, both. I was thinking, I don't know, anywhere in the universe they have that convergence. Something very specially sacred about this place. Yeah.
When are you moving?
We'll have many surprises.
Depends how many days they make pancakes and dosa.
Oh, we have lots of dosa and pancake matters.
Yeah, so tomorrow's Ekadasi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
we have Ekadasi dosa.
Next time. So I actually wrote some thoughts down after visiting the new temple in part. And then I just stuck my notes inside Bhagavad Gita and thought I'll find the verse later. And then I opened up all my notes when I thought, oh, that's actually kind of a nice verse for this. So I'm going to read from the 5th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Which is interesting because oftentimes we think, well, there's one sense. Certain schools of spiritual or religious thought think you become spiritual means you get kind of like they say in modern expression, you get right with the universe and then you just go on and enjoy life like anything. That's one school of thought. Of course, the other school of thought is don't worry about the universe, just get on and enjoy your life. And some schools of thought are you take up serious spiritual practice and you don't act in the world. That's why this is a chapter title, it's interesting. Action in Krishna consciousness. You stop. And of course, Arjuna's dilemma, we'll talk about that a little bit later. He's in the middle of this horrific battlefield, surrounded by relatives, friends, close and extending on both sides. And he's realizing that this is going to be a horrible situation, and no matter what, the outcome will be dreadful. So he says, no action. Krishna, I quit, basically. He says, I shall not fight. Govinda shall not fight, and he fell silent. So here in the 5th chapter, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So text number 20. Na prashrijad priyam papya, nodvijat papya priyam, stira buddhir asamudho, ramavid ramani shitaha. Let's do the word meaning since there's so many experienced Vaishnavas here. Na, never. Parishet, rejoicing. Priyam, the pleasant. Papya, achieving. Na, nor does. Udvijat,
Udvijayat,
become agitated.
become agitated.
Papya,
Rapya,
obtain.
obtain.
Anybody see where this verse is going? Okay. Never rejoices the pleasant. Achieving does not become agitated. Obtain. Cha. Next word. Cha. Also.
Also,
Apriyam.
Apriyam,
The unpleasant.
the unpleasant.
You see where it's going, right? Sthira buddhi.
Sthira buddhi,
Self-intelligence.
Self-intelligence.
Asammudha.
Asammudha,
Unbewildered.
Unbewildered.
Brahmavit.
Brahmavit,
One who knows the Supreme perfectly.
One who knows the Supreme perfectly.
Brahmani.
Brahmani,
In the transcendence.
in the transcendence.
Sitaha.
Sitaha,
Situated.
Situated.
So that's pretty clear what Krishna is going to say. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. So please repeat. A person who neither
A person who neither
rejoices
rejoices
upon achieving something pleasant,
upon achieving something pleasant,
nor laments
nor laments
upon obtaining something unpleasant,
upon obtaining something
Unpleasant.
who is self-intelligent,
with self-intelligence,
who is unbewildered,
who is unbewildered,
and who knows the science of God,
who knows the sense of
is
God,
already situated in transcendence.
is already situated in transcendence.
I don't have mystic powers, so can somebody pull that a little? maybe
Closer.
up here?
Slide the whole pillow. Slide the pillow. Yeah,
Perfect.
that's good.
Purport or commentary by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The symptoms of the self-realized person are given herein. The first symptom is that he is not illusioned by false identification of the body with his true self. That's the first symptom. He knows perfectly well that he is not this body, but is the fragmental portion of the Supreme Personality of God. He is therefore not joyful in achieving something, nor does he lament in losing anything which is related to his body. This steadiness of mind is called sthira buddhi, or self-intelligence. He is therefore never bewildered by mistaking the gross body for the soul, nor does he accept the body as permanent and disregard the existence of the soul. This knowledge elevates him to the station of knowing the complete science of the absolute truth, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. He thus knows his constitutional position perfectly well, without falsely trying to become one with the Supreme in all respects, right? Qualitatively one, not quantitatively one. This is called Brahman realization, or self-realization. Such steady consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. So the other one, so it was mentioned, so my name is Anuttama. I don't know everybody, I know quite a few of you. And did you explain GBC? Usually that word over here. GBC means Governing Body Commission, which we know. Before Prabhupada established the BBT, what's the BBT stand for?
Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust.
Before he established the BBT, he established the GBC, one day before. He was thinking very much about administration during that time. So, Prabhupada created the Governing Body Commission, which he said is the ultimate managing authority, representing his will of ISKCON. And as you all know, so Malati was at GBC here for a long time, right?
Yes.
Since when? What time? 2000. Okay, because she became a GBC member around the same time I did. they had a process then when you become like an assistant, then you become a co-GBC, then a full GBC. So I'm not sure exactly when that process kicked in. But she and I both became GBCs about the same time, and of course she was here for so many years and recently resigned, as you know. I think she's approaching 80. You may know. I mean, she's put a lot of years, and we all know, Malati can be very firm in her opinions. So a lot of us trying to convince her, Malati, a few more years, like, nope. Malati, nope. Nope. It's like, okay. We said it. So what's happening, just so you all know, because we're all part of this big international movement. So getting us prepared for an even more growth than we've had over the last 59 years. Next year is the 60th. Yeah, 2026 is the 60th anniversary of this time. Congratulations to all of you. You know, a lot of we know the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition is a very old one, 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya, and the broader Vaishnava tradition goes back thousands of years. Still, as we know, ISKCON as an organization is new. Prabhupada came in 1965, and first they started in 1966. Most religious communities don't last after one, the departure of the founder, and number two, after like a couple decades. So, the fact that ISKCON is still here, is still growing, is a significant statement about the importance of the value that people are getting. And Srila Prabhupada wanted to see that his society was carefully guided. So he created this GBC body, and this area has been nicely guided for so many years by Malati. So now the GBC is making what we're calling contiguous zones. I like to give the example of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, who left us just a couple of years ago. It was wonderful. The longest serving member of the Governing Body Commission at the time of his passing. He had, I don't know, maybe different times, different places. He was responsible for all of West India, which we know is big, right? East Africa, which is even bigger. Russia, which is the largest landmass country in the world, parts of Russia. And Canada, which is, I think, the first or second after Russia. So, any of you work in corporate? If you came in one day and your boss said, okay, we're rearranging your territory, you have West India, East Africa, Russia, and Canada. You'd probably quit. Or else you'd go to your boss's boss and say, I think my boss's boss is mine. Which crazy vice president did this restructuring, right? So in the beginning, you know, there were reasons, there was things needing to be done, so great, there's somebody with a lot of potency, so let him go to try to preach and teach and organize. So now it's trying to get a little more organized in a different way. So there's 5 zones in Canada and the United States, which we call North America. Mexico is considered more. There's a language difference. It's more with South America. So there's the Northeast zone, which is those folks up north, I won't say the word, down through Ohio and Kentucky, over Virginia and up to Maine. That's one zone. And then southeast, central, west, and north, which is mostly Canada with a few states. So that's the idea. So we're part of the northeast zone. I actually meant to bring a flight, and I forgot. Just a quick pitch. And you're all so close. I have a color flight. I could meet with you later. You can share mine. Forgive me for this commercial announcement. The mentor retreat. The men's retreat is coming up again September 19, 20, and 21. And you're in what, an hour and a half from River Valley? You're probably the closest, other than maybe Pittsburgh, the closest community to there. So we invite, now just to let you into a secret, men don't listen to this. Ladies, this is for you, okay? The real purpose of this retreat is to give the ladies a break. Okay? A lot of ladies were coming to us and saying, you know, my husband really needs to be busy and he needs to go out of town for 2 days. So Bhakti Mark Swami and I got together, we said, you know, the Vaishnavis are like so dear to Prabhupada, we need to do something for them. Let's have a men's retreat. That way all the men can go away for 3 days. All the ladies can be peaceful. You don't have to pick up anything, no dirty clothes left out of the hamper, anything laying up for 3 days. But seriously, it's a really nice event for the men. There's women's retreats also, ladies' retreats. So this year, of course, Bhakti Marshall is always there. He's going to do a drama on the Gita. Mahatma Prabhu's coming. Gopal Hari Prabhu, professor from Aurora University outside Chicago, is coming. Braj Bihari Prabhu's coming about conflict resolution skills for men. Another student for the ladies. How to be humble and all that. And there's one other. Who's the fourth one? I can't remember right now. But anyway, the poster's there. So we invite you all to come. It's a really wonderful experience. It's the 8th annual event we've had. It starts Friday at 4 o'clock and Sunday about the same time. And again, you're 2 hours away. So be nice if a whole bunch of men can sign up and come together as a group. It's a lot of fun. And ladies? So, back to looking at the structure, just to kind of give us a sense. Okay, so clarification. So I am a member of the governing body commission, the GBC, and I follow in Maharaj's footsteps. I'm the representative of the GBC body for this area, which Prabhupada said is the ultimate managing authority. Now, very important clarification. I am not the ultimate managing authority for Columbus. I'm the representative of the ultimate managing authority for the world to help you achieve your goals in Krishna consciousness in this era. That's what I'm supposed to do. I represent the ultimate managing authority. We try to share some thoughts, just like today. We toured the temple for a while. A beautiful temple that you're all constructing. Bases in the dust of your feet. And a few thoughts popped up. Why is the ceiling like this? And really good at asking questions. I'm not so good at answers, but I can ask some good questions. So a little fine tuning there. So I represent the ultimate managing authority, and Srila Prabhupada wanted something very revolutionary for our society. It's interesting. ISKCON is, in many ways, I'm sure a lot of your friends tell you this, right? It's very conservative, right? I'm sure some of your friends are thinking like that. I remember as a young college student in that place up north, we had one friend. It was kind of like the guru of the group. He was always into spiritual things and shared spiritual books and told everybody you should try this mantra and try that, etc. I was there, and I left that area, and I came back to visit my friends a year later, maybe 2 years later. His name was Joe. And I can remember sitting like in a dorm room, and he was on the upper bunk, and we were just kind of talking about this and that and spiritual things. And I said, Joe, like the guru, right, the serious one amongst the kids, the spiritual. I said, Joe, what do you think about the Hare Krishnas? He said, whoa, those guys are serious. That was his response. So I'm sure you get that from a lot of people, even from Indian community, right? Whoa, those people are serious. Okay? So it is very serious, and in that sense, very traditional, very orthodox, conservative in some ways. But in other ways, Prabhupada was completely radical. In a lot of ways, Prabhupada was radical. I mean, he was 70 years old. As we know, he crossed the ocean 70 years of age by himself. You know, that's not easy. And, set up shop in the Bowery and underwent so many trials and tribulations, and finally was able to open a little storefront, scratched together enough money to pay for 1 month's rent. It wasn't like he had a plan for the next year. Right? Can you imagine, say, renting a house or buying at 70? Imagine if you bought a house, you had enough money to pay for the first month's mortgage. Right? If you're married, you wouldn't be for very long. She'd say, you're crazy, I'm out of here. This is crazy. So those are some of the things. And of course, when he went to San Francisco, and a lot of devotees there, they cultivated relationships with some of these big youth bands that were very popular with the youth. And the devotees, even in New York, were telling Prabhupada, you can't go to that thing. There's no way. This is too radical. It's too, I don't know what the word would be, too progressive. It's not proper. And the San Francisco boys are saying, no, Prabhupada, this is a great chance to get the message out there. Prabhupada, look, it's a chance to teach and preach. I have to go. So maybe you've heard Prabhupada went and there was chanting for some time, and then after he left, the rock bands came out on their stage. And as Prabhupada was leaving, he turned to one of the young men with him and said, this is no place for a brahmachari. So, but he took these kind of risks for us, for all of us. And one of the things that he did that was very progressive, as you all know, traditionally, in an Indian Hindu mat, there's one acharya. And that acharya is there and he controls everything. He makes all the decisions, good, bad, or not so good, business decisions and everything else, and gives all the spiritual knowledge and basically runs the show. And then when he passes away, he passes the baton to the next, and it goes like that. But Prabhupada's guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, had a different vision, which is he understood that the Krishna movement is meant to spread all around the world, and we need a different kind of management. One person doing everything is not going to work. I don't know if he even ever wrote any reasoning why he wanted, Prabhupada's guru wanted it managed like that, but he set it up, and there were problems, as we know the history. So our Srila Prabhupada, in 1972, 5 years before he left this world himself, he created the GBC body to try to help take on collective leadership. So this is a point where Prabhupada was very modern and very, in a sense, radical from what was there from before, that he wanted collective leadership. And he even told his early GBC members, in the role of a wonderful acharya and guru whose duty is to instruct his disciples, he said, actually, none of you are intelligent. It was the highest body that he was grading. He told me, he said, none of you are intelligent. You know the second half? Anybody know the second half? He said, but together you are intelligent. Together you're intelligent. He said, none of you individually you're intelligent. But together you're intelligent. So Prabhupada created this structure of collective leadership. And there's a lot of advantages that there's some disadvantages too. But among them, it allows all of us to be a check and balance on each other, and allows us to inspire and enthuse one another. This is a culture that's meant to be there. And I remember a few years ago a nice example of this mood. Satyarupa Maharaj, I was in Denver, he was at GBC there for a short time, and things got rearranged. But there was kind of a story had gone around. He was someplace, maybe it was in Denver, and he was chanting japa. He's a sannyasi, and remember the gummy body and all that stuff. And some new person, brand new bhakta, came up to him and said, you're not pronouncing the mantra right. And he took that very seriously, like, oh, Krishna's telling me. So I think he had some japa reform notebook, maybe mentioned there that he realized he had to be really serious about his japa. So that mentality that we can help each other, we need to help each other, it's our duty to help each other, is very important for ISKCON. We should never think, of course we always respect seniors. We respect everybody, right? Lord Chaitanya, we respect even an ant. Right? We respect everybody. Described anybody that one time chants the Hare Krishna mantra as a devotee. And anybody that, even if they have chanted, our philosophy, everybody's a devotee. I mean, there are certain philosophies in the world that you're not really okay until you become a devotee of their particular lineage. Otherwise, sometimes they say you go to hell forever, right? They're pretty heavy. We don't have that idea. We have an idea that you're already separated from God. We're all separated from God, which if we really saw it, is not a very nice position we're in right now. It's kind of hellish right now if we saw what it's really like. You have to grow old, or you don't want to. You have to get diseased, you don't want to. You have to die, you know you want. That's not very nice. Right? We had a puppy dog. You go to the store and you buy a puppy dog, or a lot of our neighbors have dogs. You had a choice. You're going to put your puppy dog in a nice, happy situation. It's going to be cuddly and happy and healthy, or you put him in a cage where he's going to grow old, get diseased, and die. Like, whoa, what are you putting him in that cage for? So, we see this world in itself as not a nice place because we have faith that actually we're originally from, as it's described here, a spiritual reality. So, which is very nice. So we need to help each other, and we need to really kind of step up and take responsibility for each other. Older peers, younger, doesn't matter. Although it said we always respect our seniors, but we understand our philosophy is that the material energy is very powerful, and each of us is very small, very, very small. And Kamalini and myself, we've been in this movement long enough to see that sometimes people, they come as juniors and they take on more and more responsibility, and sometimes they become really, really, quote, big devotees, and then something happens and they forget and they go right out in the material world again. That was like the first 10 years we saw that, and then about 20 years ago we started to see that, and then they come back. Like, and kind of in the mood of like, that was dumb. You know, that was really, really dumb of me. Boy, was that dumb. And then they pick up and do better. And some it takes 5 years to come around, and some it takes 10 years, and some 20, and there's some that's been longer than that. And we're still grateful for everything that they did, and we're praying for them now. So an understanding that material energy is very strong, very powerful, very, is described in here, right, bewildering. You know, that one who is not in perfect knowledge, they are bewildered by mistaking the gross body for the self. And because of that, people spend their energy pursuing things that actually don't make us happy. They work really hard. We all know the people in the modern age, boy, do they, well, people, maybe a little bit these days, people working from home and they don't watch it quite as careful as they used to, but generally people have to work hard. And the way the culture is designed, we all try to resist it, but the way the culture is designed, if you have a little bit of money, you're kind of like pushed into go spending it because you weren't enough anxiety, you need to get more debt. I don't know what the numbers are now, but Americans, the debt Americans carry is trillions and trillions of dollars. And you know, some little thing goes wrong and you lose your job and, you know, big problems. I was reading the other day, I think something like 12 billion, just Americans, $12 billion of Christmas presents every year are thrown away. Why would people buy $12 billion worth of stuff and just throw it away? Because their mind told them, you need this. She wants that, he wants that. If you give it to them, put a nice package and they'll be happy. And they get it, didn't make them happy. And then they throw it away. They don't just throw it in a corner. They throw it away because the other number is how many billions of tons and pounds of landfills get filled by all the junk that people throw away. So there's this culture that consume, and listen to what the mind dictates. And when we try to become spiritual or Krishna conscious, the mind continues to try to kind of battle us a little bit. And therefore, like this verse is talking about, the need for us to understand the way the mind works, to really try to reassure ourselves who we are. And that's why devotee association is so important. Because in general, the world out at large is so focused on materialistic conceptions. You know, consume this. You don't like those people because they live in another part of the world and they're a threat. I mean, why are they a threat? I remember the very first time I went to Russia, maybe 25 years ago. I've been maybe 3-4 times. I was sitting watching a devotee lady, devotee, so okay, we connected that way, but still, she's Russian, I'm American. And she was playing like volleyball or something with her kids. And I was thinking, in America, they're doing the same thing. There's moms playing volleyball or something, kids. In India, there's moms playing some other variety game with the kids. In Africa, in South America, and there's moms playing some variety of kids. But her kids are going to grow up to hate my kids and be told we should kill each other. Because we don't like those people, or they're a threat to us, or, I mean, how crazy that is. And especially when you see things from a spiritual perspective, which is we're all in this world. We have a few years as in human beings to cultivate our relationship with God. And instead we spend our time fighting with each other. How crazy that is. Like they say, the best defense is good offense, right? So if you want to keep a conditioned soldier, you keep them busy. Right? Maya's like that. Keep everybody really, really busy pursuing things that aren't so important. So, all of us, we bear responsibility, not just for ourselves, but really for each other. And that's where Prabhupada writes and talks about the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I think it's in the Upanishad, maybe Upanishad. He says it was created for this purpose, to create a community. It's really there to create a community, to help each other, encourage each other, give strength to each other. How many of you have been practicing Krishna consciousness for 50 years or more? Let's say 49, because I can raise my hand. Okay, a couple of us. How many 40 years or more? 30 years or more? 20 years or more? Oh, yes, some big people. 10 years or more? 5 years or more? 2 years or more? Okay, 1 year or more? Okay, so new people, okay. I was expecting all the hands to go up at 30. So even in, let's say, 2 years or 5 years, we all have experience that things go wrong in this world. And when they go wrong in this world, we have the opportunity to see things from a spiritual perspective, which this verse is describing. If we see things from a spiritual perspective, we're not disturbed. Because, sorry to remind us all that some of us in this room, we're going to lose our jobs during our lifetime. Some of us, like me, we're going to lose our business, and we're going to lose our house, and we're going to lose our bank balance. Some of us will lose our car. Some of us will lose our roof. Right? But if you work for Nationwide, you're okay. Right? We know, Krishna says in the second chapter, happiness, distress, they come and go. You can't stop that. And if we think we can stop it, it's like a hurt. It's like those guys that try to track down tornadoes. If you get too close, you're in really big trouble, right? So they try to get really close because it's exciting, but sometimes you get too close, right? Or you try to like take pictures of a lava field, you get too close. Or extreme sports, you get too close. There was a thing just not too long ago, maybe it was someplace in America. Some young guy wanted to like ski or skateboard or snowboard over a highway. A big store in Washington, maybe they were from the East Coast. He didn't make it. And you know, this extreme wasn't enough, that extreme wasn't enough, had to do more and more and more and more until finally he didn't make it. So the whole article about his parents were lamenting so much. So rather than that, we should use our energy for trying to figure out how we can get out of here. How we can awaken our Krishna consciousness, become pure devotees of the Lord. And that's where we really have to kind of come together and help each other. So again, whether it's been for 1 year or 45 years or more. The material world, the world we live in is up and down. We all know that. And people take shelter of different things. Some people take shelter of drinking. Some people take shelter of binging on movies. Some people take shelter of shopping malls. Some people take shelter of football teams or whatever it is. You get some temporary relief. And the nature of this world is just temporary relief. So as it describes here, self-intelligent people realize, well, it's a temporary relief. Is there any kind of permanent relief? Is there any kind of permanent relief? So that's what we're trying to achieve. And the essential point, we need to do it together. That's what's so important. Because today maybe is a great day for me, it's not such a good day for you. Maybe this year's a great day. I got a raise, I got a promotion, everything's looking good, and your company just shut down. And it's not looking so good. So we need to offer each other some support and some shelter. I mentioned, where was I last night? I was in Ypsilanti. I mentioned I have a very dear friend of mine who's been a devotee for a long time, and his teenage daughter has some type of mental health disease, and I'm not even sure what. We can't figure it out. She's been in and out of psychiatric hospitals, and I mean, they're suffering like anything. And it hurts so bad because you can't help. You know, like we kind of wish I could just pray so sincerely to the deities that they would make it go away. There's certainly tremendous anxiety. What did we do wrong? What happened? How is it possible? And of course, it brings in all the doubt which is there, which is going to affect any feeling person. You know, Krishna, if you're there, why are you allowing this to happen? Right? That comes up. But through association with spiritually minded people, we get strength. We get to see things more in perspective. Of course, we have to be careful too. I just mentioned this as an aside. Sometimes devotees think, well, if someone's having a hard time, we have to preach to them. You know? And normally, when somebody's having difficulty, we don't need to be preached to. We just need somebody to be with us. Right? I lost both my parents 20 plus years ago now. But let's say my mom dies this week, and somebody comes up to me and says, well, Anuttama, I heard your mom died. But, you know, she's not her body. And Krishna says you shouldn't lament. He actually says if you're feeling sad, you're a fool. I said, do I need that? Is that going to help me? Not going to help me. Because she's my mom. I know I'm not this body. I know she's not that body, but she's still my mother in this lifetime. We still had a relationship. We cared for each other. We loved each other. We helped each other. In the ultimate sense, okay, great, Phil, but it is not, at that moment, maybe that week, maybe that month, it's not helping. What's helping is just know that, wow, it must be really tough. I know you're really close to your mom. Or whatever, it must be really tough. I know you expected you'd be in that house for a long time, and who could see the economic problems, you know? Just having somebody there to support us is what's really so important. And there's a nice story, so many stories, but there's one very beautiful story just close to here, again, New Vrindavan. Adi, I always forget the devotee's name, but it was a devotee, a man devotee, was kind of a relatively new devotee. Prabhupada was visiting New Vrindavan, and Prabhupada would stay up late. Most of us know and write his books. All these commentaries and things were done at like 1 o'clock in the morning. The rest of us were sleeping. Prabhupada's translating books. So Prabhupada's in his little cabin. There's a devotee who's kind of there to see if Prabhupada has any needs. He's his servant, he's his guard, all that. He's by himself. Adi Purush, I think is his name. So he's kind of watching the cabin. Nobody else is there late at night. And starts to rain. So he's not sure what to do. He doesn't want to stay outside and get wet. So there's an overhang kind of. So he goes there like an open garage or something like that. And he can hear Prabhupada reciting, you know, translating, recording as he would do on a tape recorder. And then suddenly he realized that Prabhupada was like standing right there in the doorway. So he paid his obeisances and he stood up and said, Srila Prabhupada, is there any service I can do for you? And Prabhupada said, imagine it's the middle of the night, it's just you and Prabhupada. And you're thinking, you know, Prabhupada, you need a glass of water? You know, it's like, you know, it's like a dog making too much noise. And what do you need? He says, Prabhupada, is there some service I can render? He says, yes. You can go where I cannot go. What is thinking, wow, like that's a pretty esoteric instruction from the Guru, right? Go where I cannot go. I'm not sure I have to find out either said this or was thinking this, but Prabhupada, you just came from India, you were in Paris, then you were in London, you're stopping here in New Vrindavan, you're on your way to Mexico City, then you're going to go to like South America, Tokyo. Where is it you ever gone? Prabhupada said you can go into the future. You can go into the future. I mean, just think about how deep Prabhupada's thinking about things. In the middle of the night, there's this new disciple who tells him, you can go where I cannot go, you go into the future. And then this is really powerful. He said, and you can show the people there how much Krishna loves them by how you treat them. That's like probably really revealing the heart of the Vaishnava Acharya. The people will realize how much Krishna loves them by how you treat them. So in our communities, that's so important. You know, how we support each other, how we mature, where we know there's times to preach and there's times to be with. There's times to support it in other ways. But then we understand that. And we understand that individually we're not so capable. Just like here, right, you don't have a president, you have a collective, you probably have a corporate president, somebody, but there's like a council or something, right? Quite a few temples have that now. Chicago Temple, for some time, hasn't had a president. They have a council. And the council means, just like the GBC, we don't agree with everything all the time. There's a few policies in place right now. I change in a second if I could push a button, but I can't. And I'm a devotee of Prabhupada, so we work together collectively. And sometimes you agree, sometimes you don't. It's just a fact. It's like in a family, right? You love your kids, right? Everybody agree with your kids all the time? Not possible.
No, not agree with.
Not possible. You can't. Like kids, I know kids accept every single thing their mother and father say. Right? Any kids here? Way in the back. What's your name? Siddharth. How old are you? 14. So would you confirm every single thing your mom and dad says is 100% right? Thank you. You said enough. You made my point. Yeah. But you go along, right? You gotta, because you love each other, your family. You gotta work together closely. So I was thinking about Malati a little bit, and of course she and Sundar Prabhu. Who's read the book? There's 3 volumes, right? What is it? Shooting Rhinos with a Swan. Raise your hand if you read that. Okay, I would like strongly suggest that you read that book. 3 volumes. A little bit of it's kind of like 60s, maybe, some of us like it more because we lived through that era as well. But the phenomenal things they did, just phenomenal. I mean, Shama Sundar was with him. He had a lot to do with that whole mantra rock dance I talked about briefly a minute ago. And then Shama Sundar Prabhu went to London with Malati, Mukunda, Janaki, Yamuna, and Gurudas. The 6 of them went to London. And Saraswati. Don't forget the kids. Everybody know about the special instruction Prabhupada gave to them before they went to London? They went to Prabhupada, to see Prabhupada in Montreal before they went to London. Prabhupada was, I guess there was some visa things, so he was basing himself in Montreal for some time. So they went there to see Prabhupada and get some, special enthusiasm and last minute instructions and all that. And they asked Prabhupada, they said, Srila Prabhupada, something like this, do you have any special instructions for us before we go to London? And Prabhupada told him a story. Prabhupada said, when I was a boy, I went to the movies and I saw one film. I think it was Charlie Chaplin. There's another silent guy. He was Charlie Chaplin. Or there's another guy that's not as famous. It might have been him. And Prabhupada said, in this movie, a gentleman was with his lady friend at a ball dance in formal gowns, tuxedos and formal dress. And they went outside, they got tired from dancing, they went outside to sit down with some naughty boys that put glue on the bench. In this movie, right? Silent film, we've all seen, they're kind of, right? Because there's a scene, and then there's words on the screen, like they're talking to each other, and then there's another scene. So, Charlie Chaplin, or this actor, sits down and sticks to the bench. And when he stands up, his coat is stuck, and it tears up the back. So he goes into the men's room and looks and sees that his coat's been torn. And somehow decides, well, I might as well just tear it the whole way. So he tears it further, and then he and his friend said his lady friend, they go out in the ballroom and they start dancing really an excited, happy way. And all the other ladies and gentlemen are watching, and I'm thinking, this must be the new style. In this movie, right? This is like 1920, no, it must have been earlier than that, whatever. Early movie. So they all tear their coats. And they start dancing, and everybody does what they say. And Prabhupada's laughing, ha 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 ha. And the disciples are thinking, what? This is your instruction? We came for an instruction. You tell us about a Charlie Chaplin silent film from like 40 years ago? And then later they were talking about it, they realized Prabhupada was telling them, you go and like the modern expression, right? You're going to disrupt things by your presence. At first they're not going to understand. It's going to look totally wild and crazy. But after some time, they're going to follow your example. And that's exactly what happened. You know? So that in this book, in the 3 volumes, it's so wonderful. They talk about, again, San Francisco, and then London, and then they went with Prabhupada to India and organized these huge Pandava programs. And Prabhupada again, right, chasing rhinos with the Swami. Those that haven't heard what Prabhupada said, because we're all vegetarian, we know, but he said if you go to shoot a rhinoceros, if you're successful, people say, how is it possible they shot a rhinoceros? It's amazing. And if you're not successful, they'll say, it's amazing that they had the courage to try to shoot a rhinoceros. So either way, win or lose, it's impressive. So Prabhupada gave that story to shoot a rhinoceros, but then he also said when he took his white American disciples back to India, he said, you are my dancing white elephants. And he gave another example, I guess, when he was a boy at the circus, they had a dancing albino elephant, and that was like, wow. The whole village would come, the whole city would come to see the dancing white elephants. So Shama Sundar talks about how they were very proud to be Prabhupada's dancing white elephants. And then the big one, they went behind the Iron Curtain. Shama Sundar went with Prabhupada. And that's a long story, but then they met 2 young men. One of them was Indian, who his father worked for the embassy, and then his Russian friend. And they saw Shama Sundar, and they asked him, do you have any Beatles records or Blue Jeans? Because they could tell he was from the West. And he said, no, but the guru who's instructing the Beatles is with them just in the hotel room. So they said, really? So they came back, and Prabhupada was just there for maybe 2 or 3 days, and he instructed this one young man. They all left. The person from the embassy was not so interested, but this one Russian person, Prabhupada initiated him there. No disciple course in those days. In 3 days he initiated him, and Malati had snuck a Bhagavad Gita into their suitcase. Because you weren't allowed. It was like religious scripture, and in Russia, those communist countries, officially atheist, and if you were religious, you were like threatening the state. So she snuck a Bhagavad Gita in, so they left that Bhagavad Gita with him. So we had one book. That's how the movement started in Russia. And if you go to Russia today, there's so many Hare Krishnas. There's thousands. Of course, you know, in Ukraine too, and it's very sad what's happening there right now. But so Shama Sundar talks about that. And in all those big efforts, Prabhupada encouraged them. You know, you go to London and you dance like Charlie Chaplin and it'll catch on. You come back to India with me and it'll catch on. You go to Russia and it'll catch on. So in each of those situations, Prabhupada was really emphasizing that you just try and Krishna will help. There's one interview with the scholar Tom Hopkins, and he's talking about the early Krishna movement and about how he gives us one example. Prabhupada told his one disciple, I think Rancho, I can't remember, told his one disciple, go start a magazine. And Tom Hopkins comments, he says, this man probably never even had a subscription to a magazine. That's how much he knew about magazines. And he kind of asked Prabhupada, how do I do it? Prabhupada said, Krishna will help you. According to this interview with Tom Hopkins, he must have done research, he told him, Krishna will help you, he'll give you intelligence. So, that's our philosophy, that's our acharya, that we try, and we try collectively, and we in our vegetarian way, shoot rhinoceroses. And, you know, sometimes, you probably get this too, especially younger devotees, they'll say, oh, it must have been special in the early days. wish I was there in the early days. And I mean, our movement is supposed to spread for 10,000 years. And we're 50 years into it. Or even if you count Lord Chaitanya's time, we're only 550 years into it. This is the early days. This is the pioneering days. And our grandchildren's grandchildren will talk about this being the pioneering days. And they're going to talk about our grandchildren being part of the pioneering days because it's still so early on. So there's lots and lots left for us to do. There's lots and lots of rhinoceroses to take on. And so many different projects. So just like here, Arjuna said to Krishna, this looks too tough. I think I should quit. I don't see any way out of this. It's a big mess. And Krishna told me you're not seeing things right. You're not understanding, one, I'm in control. Two, everything you do should be done for my pleasure. And three, I'll empower you. You gotta work for me. Is right? Action in Krishna consciousness. So, the same way Arjuna, finally at the end, he said, well in the beginning he said, I accept you, Krishna, but I want out of here. You know? I accept you, Krishna, but I want a comfortable life. And he had all these different arguments about how this is going to be very difficult. And Krishna said, well, actually, what you need to do is surrender me. And it's wonderful because at the end of the whole Bhagavad Gita, then he explains so many things to Arjuna. And at the end he says, now you choose what you want to do, which is just another 20 lectures on that. Our philosophy, our theology, our global metaphysical understanding of the way the universe works is there's a supreme person who's our best friend, who's all beautiful, all perfect, has a place for us, wants us to be there with him, to be happy, wants to get us out of this material world. And as long as we want to stay, he says, okay, your choice, you have free will. That's what you want. You do it. You know, it's not like you have to do it. And he comes and gives this whole Gita, and reads it for millions of people for thousands of years, and at the end he says, do whatever you want. I want you to do this because that's what you're going to do to be happy, but I want you to serve me. To serve me. So, I have just a little note that says, tell my boulder story. I don't remember what my boulder story was. Okay, I can tell that story. So anyway, so what's needed for all of us, and this, I'll just end with this couple of thoughts. Visiting your new temple, and seeing the old one. It's like the old temple, and then I was telling the devotees today, I was like, you guys ever believe in like medium speed, or medium heat, or medium width of the highway, or like, and they were like, yeah, it's Ohio State, you know, they don't do things like small. They do things big. It's Ohio State. Okay, that makes sense. It's Ohio State. We're all affected by the areas that we live in. So we have, Prabhupada created this collective leadership. Prabhupada wanted us to do important things, qualitatively important things, quantitatively important things. And we have a collective leadership. So I'll just leave you all with this thought, that we have to take collective responsibility for each other, and collective responsibility for everybody out there, and collective responsibility for Prabhupada's mission. Because none of us is very intelligent, none of us is very wealthy, none of us are very, expert managers. We may be okay, but none of us is like the perfect manager, the perfect leader, etc. But together, Prabhupada said there's strength there. And Prabhupada also, he told the story, he repeated the story of Aesop's fable, right? So it's kind of a famous Greek myth, or kind of like, what is it, Punch It? Where they, yeah, all those stories.
Yes.
Yeah. So, right, and Prabhupada repeated this a few times, where the father had a bundle of sticks, and he gave them to his children. He said, can you break this bundle? And they all tried, and they couldn't do it. And then he said, actually, it's very easy to break this bundle. And he put it in front of him, he took one stick out at a time, and he broke it. And Prabhupada used that to instruct all of us. If you stay together, you're strong. If you get separated, you're weak. You're vulnerable. You're vulnerable. So, all of us, we have our responsibility collectively. So I'll just mention that I know it's kind of like the final phase of the temple coming up. And just like if you run a race, you say the last 100 yards are the toughest. Right? That's what separates the women from the girls and the men from the boys. Right? You gotta be tough. You gotta be tough. You gotta, as they say, kind of hang in there. And I know, in this much bigger community than just here, we're together tonight. A lot of you, maybe everybody here, has made like some very big sacrifices to bring that temple together, financially, time-wise, this and that. And I would just like to say that, and thank you for that. Profound thank you for that. You know that Krishna's pleased, like Chaitanya's pleased, Prabhupada's pleased, your Guru's pleased, all the Vaishnavas are pleased, etc. And sometimes they have this expression like in the Navy. Anybody in the Navy? Anybody go in the Navy here? I didn't either. But they have an expression, all hands on deck. Right? It's like all hands on deck. Doesn't matter what, if you're like the guy that runs the engine, if you're the guy that cuts carrots, if you're the guy that swaps the deck, or the guy that shoots the guns, it doesn't matter. All hands on deck. We need everybody now. Everybody's got to be all hands on deck. So I think that's the thing here. And all of us have friends, all of us have family, and maybe, we may be in a situation where we've given our whatever, $50, $500,000, everything between. That's okay. That's between you and Krishna, and he appreciates every paisa and every million and all that. And maybe we haven't yet surrendered, like, okay, I gave all my money, but maybe now we need to expand our pool a little bit. We need to kind of talk, we need to ask our friends to be involved and invite them to dinners, or invite them to the temple, invite them to fundraisers. And sometimes it's a little awkward, like, oh geez, like, I'm okay worshiping Krishna, do I have to be like public about it? Do I have to tell my friends about it? It's like Arjuna, I'm okay that you're God, but do I have to fight for you? Right? He never said, I don't accept you, Krishna. He never said, you're just mundane and I'm going to do my thing because you're not God. Later he became more and more convinced that he's God. That wasn't his argument. You don't know what you're talking about, I quit. His argument was, okay, I accept you, but I want to be comfortable. Right? And then Krishna said, well, on the ultimate run, you're not going to be comfortable because you're not in a comfortable place. The way to be comfortable is to put aside your discomfort and do what you need to do for me. So we're in a similar situation like that, We all have to, just to some extent, we have to put away our like they talk about people, they analyze, oftentimes we live in our comfort zone, then there's the stretch zone, and then the panic zone. We don't want to get in the panic zone. The panic zone, I was in the panic zone once, for sure, when I first became a devotee, because they gave me some beads, and they said you chant one mantra on each bead all the way around, but I never heard anybody chant japa. I'd only heard kirtan. So they gave me this big set of beads, and I went home. First bead, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Next bead, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That was like really painful. We got done. As I remember it, it's a long time, but as I remember, I threw those beads down. I thought, these guys are crazy. I could never do that. And then later, I saw the devotees and told me, no, that's not it. And then they showed me. I was in the panic zone, like, there's no way, it's too much. I can't do that. So, Krishna consciousness is not about the panic zone, right? It's not about the panic zone. What Prabhupada said, chant, dance, and be happy, right? He didn't say, surrender and eat dry rice and water and suffer. Is chant, dance, and be happy. It's our process like this. So but we need to be in the stretch zone. So if we're going to finish that beautiful temple, we need to all be a little bit more in the stretch zone. We need to make sure we're in the stretch zone. And understand that if we invite people to participate, if we invite people to come forward, if we help, it's not up to one person or the 10 people on the council, we all share the responsibility. Prabhupada told the GBC members something like, you're responsible for one part of the world, but you have to think about the whole planet. So we should think, okay, whatever, I'm responsible for the Sunday school, but I have to think about building the temple, you know, the community, the facility for those. I may have certain responsibility for the deities, but I have to think about how we can expand the deities temple like that. So if we all take that up, we know it's good for us. Just like Prophet Guru told me, he said, you teach in English, it'll be good for you and good for others. So in the same way, engaging in Christian service and trying to facilitate other people in Christian service is good for us, it's good for them, it's good for their kids, it's good for the future. And like Arjuna, like Prabhupada, Arjuna was asked, take up your bow. Prabhupada was asked, somehow or other, please spread this message around the world. And like them, we want to kind of pick up our bow, pick up our arrows, do what we can to try to help facilitate Prabhupada's mission and know that that's the best thing for us at the same time. Because we want to get out of this misconception of thinking that whatever seems pleasing to our senses will make us happy. Because it won't. You know, there's some, where she wanted the pancakes this morning, those were very pleasing. I felt good all day long. I have to admit, okay. I'm traumatized a little bit. But it's not that we're not aware of pleasure and pain. We do make adjustments. You know, we need a comfortable roof. We need a roof over our head and a car and a reasonable amount of clothing, this and that. But we understand that those things in and of themselves can't actually satisfy the soul. That's the difference. You know? So, not that we, bhakti is all about take care of your needs. You do that, like Krishna, I see. So I'll end there again. Just thank you all very much. It's last time I was here, October, we visited the temple today, and a lot of progress over there. It's looking good. I met Ethan. We're in good hands. He seems to be a really good guy. And all construction guys are not all really good guys. I got ripped off really badly with our business by some construction people in the past. People that I thought I trusted. So, trust and verify. Ronald Reagan said we should keep an eye on things. And he seems to be a very good guy. He's very conscientious. He's trying to help us do what we need. He's offering a lot of ideas. He said, you all figured out, but I would suggest this and this and this. Like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So that's good things. A lot of progress. Everybody should feel very happy about that. And of course, beautiful deities already downtown, a nice group of devotees that meet. And we're all very, very fortunate. So thank you very much. Wow, 8 o'clock. That was good. That was a German class. German time. Do we have time for a question or anything? Okay. Any questions or comments? Anything like that to make? Yes.
Does your area also include Cleveland?
Yes.
Have you been there?
Mother Ishopanishad,
Ah,
right?
well,
She's
she
from
lives in Akron.
there. Okay. Well, she was there. Last time I was there, she was there.
Yeah.
We had a problem with some devotees' house. I'm really bad at names, but I remember their house was flooded, and they had to redo the whole thing. And it was beautiful inside. I was complimenting how nice it was, and it was nice because it all got ruined, and they had to fight. It wasn't nationwide, I'm sure. If it was, don't listen to this. They had to fight with the insurance company, and they fixed it all up. There's a nice group of devotees there. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get there this time, but I want to get there again soon. Of course, Krishna Nandini was there. She's super special. We worked together on the Grass Division team for some time. I was more active when it first started, and later I didn't have so much time. But
You were more active
when the Grass Division team first started, I was part of that original team, put together the Rasta
Other
course.
Rasta Pigeon team.
You know, and later I was doing other things, and they were in such good hands. They didn't need me, so I went other places. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm originally from Cleveland.
Are you?
Yeah, she read them really down the original meetings of Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, special place. You and Bhakti Tirthamaj are originally from there, right?
He's originally from Cleveland.
Yeah.
But he joined, I don't know where he joined initially. I don't know if it was New York or somewhere else. But,
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
yeah.
Because he got a degree at Princeton, right? He finished.
Mhm.
And later, I don't know, met devotees someplace.
And I really didn't get to, I didn't meet him until well, I saw him in 1978 in Los Angeles.
Okay.
But I didn't really get a chance to speak with him or anything like that until after he took sannyas. And then he started coming more frequently to Cleveland and doing more programs in Cleveland, so that began a relationship.
Yes, brother.
Well, just reflecting, thank you very much for class. Thank you for visiting for us. So we try to see more often for taking the association. My question is that.
Does everybody get a matching microphone? Can you see that on the back? He's got his nice green coat on. I've never seen a microphone that's green. Microphone did not like that kind. I think yours can be out, but you can't have two.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So,
It's funny because
I
it's
should try to
speaker
speak
here.
louder. Yes, speak louder.
Okay.
So, it's a natural constitution position of the soul to be happy. Susukum Kattum Bhavya. Krishna says always be happy. But wherever we see celebrating here and there, we're always happy. That's natural. That's always a state.
Joyful.
Joyful. Like
Prabhupada says one symptom if you can measure your advancement in spiritual life is that we should be becoming joyful.
Yeah, joyful. So now in this point, what is talking about? A person who is neither rejoice upon achieving something pleasant, nor lament something.
Mhm.
So is he only talking about the material things or in general spiritual? Because spiritual, when you see association is guru, when you have a nice treatment class, naturally we feel happy. So it's not artificial and trying to suppress this, it doesn't bring us anywhere. So
Yeah, because our natural state is joyfulness, and this is particularly saying things that bring pleasure to the mind and the senses. So one day you win the lottery, okay, and materialistic, wow, happiness. And the next day, all your old friends from high school that haven't seen you in 30 years call you up and tell you how much they love you and they want to be with you. And actually, they've never forgotten you the day of their life. And that girl that you said goodbye to, she dumped you. You know, comes back and says, you know, I've been married 4 times, but I know you're the real one. You know, it happens actually. You look it up, like what happens to people that win the lottery? It's, you know, momentary pleasure and most, I'm sure there's few people that are a little wiser how they do their money. A lot of times their lives get really, you know, their kids get addicted to drugs. Serious stuff happens when you buy too much money. So that's just describing that, you know, things come and go that are pleasing to our senses. But if we keep in mind that actually every moment, every situation is an opportunity to serve Krishna. It's like, you know, in material sense, you know, like, probably the church uses the young example. A young boy is in love with a young girl, and whatever happens is like, that's a problem, you know, because Prabhupada gives another example, I think maybe nectar devotion. Like a mother with a child, she sees the shoe of her baby, and she feels happiness. She feels pleasure. The baby's nowhere, but the shoe reminds her of her baby because of that relationship. So as devotees, as we advance more and more, the whole world is connected to Krishna. So there's some distress. Oh, okay, it's coming from Krishna. I'm burning out my karma. It's a challenge. It's an opportunity to like show him that I'm not going to let this bother me. Oh, here comes some happiness. Okay, it's an opportunity for me to use whatever nice thing I have in Krishna's service and show him I'm not going to be distracted. So a devotee goes to the beach, you know, and watches the beautiful sunset. You know, we try to think a pure devotee is spontaneous, we understand, but maybe we try a little bit. We see that beautiful sunset's connected with Krishna, who's the artist behind the whole thing. This is amazing how he did that. I want to get closer to the person that designed the sunset. Okay, and when it goes down and maybe it gets dark and it gets cold, it's like, oh, it's not very nice out here. Okay, so let me, you know, it's also Krishna. And let me go someplace where I can be more comfortable to serve Krishna. I'm not going to get upset that it's cold. I'm not going to upset that, okay, the sun went down. Here's a big test for all of us. I'm getting older. substitute I. All of you, eyes. You can't stop it. And I want to use that fact that I'm getting older to help me connect with Krishna. It's like, you know, you win money, sometimes you get a lot of money. I mean, it's fact. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you here, you know, your boss tells you, wow, congratulations, you got a raise. And some of us, right, you get that pink slip. You come to the office, and you read about it a lot. Somebody's like the vice president of the company, you come to the office one day, there's a security guard making $18 an hour. He's making $180,000 a year, and the guy with a sand with a box, excuse me, sir, you've been let go, and I'm gonna follow you to your desk, and don't touch that, that belongs to the company. You can take the pencils and the pen, you can't take the drive, you know, our drive is not yours. I mean, how humiliating, right? Up and down. A week ago, they were praising you in the board meeting, what a good guy you are, and next thing you know, you're gone, you're fired. That's just the way of this world. But as a devotee, we're trying to really develop this sense that, you know, it doesn't, in the ultimate sense, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is that I become Krishna conscious. Now, that doesn't mean we're, just to make sure that's not misunderstood, it doesn't mean we don't care what goes on in the world. We care deeply. Toronto, Rathiatra was sitting and giving me a little thing, a spiritual seminar group. And one man was sitting right there and he said, there's so many atrocities in the world. It's so hard, it's so painful. I said, yeah, you just see his devotee's heart is just so much pained by that. It's not that we just ignore it all, you know, just buy the newest thing and don't think about what's going on in Sudan or in Gaza Strip. You know, it's terrible. But we also understand that it's more than likely way out of my ability to directly help that. But what I can do is to try to promote a different consciousness, to try to live a different consciousness that actually is part of the real long-term solution. So, in brief, our happiness comes from things that are beyond the externals. What Krishna says again, one whose happiness is within. He uses that term, one whose happiness. Well, what's within? Is it Paramatma? Knowing my relationship with Krishna. That's within.
The point is, because initially you said, you know, somebody's mother is left the body, some people say, leaves the body. So we should let know. At the same time, it has to practically say that. Of course, I was very heavy teacher in the past.
Your voice is getting softer. Can you hear him in the back? Can you hear? He was self-reflective, self-critical, and his voice went way down. He wanted this, and of course, I was a heavy teacher. He said, I was a little heavy-handed in the past. Yeah, like 7 o'clock.
20 years back.
Okay.
Heavy teacher.
Okay.
But over the period of time, things have changed. Like, you know, there's a few more, that there is, you know, things happen. When to be happy, when to see the things as they are, the joy inside, it's going to be empathy, sympathy. That's what they needed for the going forward. If you know, I was trying to connect what is said about another, and at the same time, you have to rejoice. That's where my question is coming.
Yeah. I mean, Prabhupada, I'm trying to think, there was a lecture I heard not too long ago, Prabhupada describing that it's not that we're not affected completely, you know, we're not like stones. We are impacted by things that happen in this world. You know, we love our parents and they're going to pass away. And, you know, some of us face challenges with our kids, or financial problems, or health problems, or neighbor problems. It's not that we're not aware of it, but we don't let it deviate us from what the goal is. And we actually, I remember when I lived in Denver, we had a small business for the temple, and my wife was one of the people managing it. And I remember her explaining there was one woman who had a janitor job. She wasn't very, you know, not making a lot of money. She had all these big shots in the airport walk by looking like stress warmed over on their face. And this lady would walk by, and every day she'd say, how are you today? She said, I'm blessed. I am blessed. Right? Because she's thinking God's there. She wasn't a devotee of Krishna, but she's thinking God's there. He's taking care of me, and unfortunately, I got so many opportunities. Whatever, you know. And the other guy's so full of anxiety because he wants to get more and more things and more position, and he's worried about who's going to take his job and all of those things. They're not feeling that happiness. So you're looking like, can you answer my question, please?
Thank you.
You want to give it one third track, and then we'll take the shot. Want to reword it one more time?
No, you have to just, I was just like a comment, for instance, in current 60 years of his ISKCON life, we're going through different phases. So how people used to be, things are changing, how they do. So they have to balance both, like, that's what the point.
Yeah, we should maintain our enthusiasm and that, but become more mature. It's just like in a race, right? If kids in school, we all did this when we were younger. You're like in a 60-yard race. You go as fast as you can for the first 60 yards, and then it's over. If you're in a 20-kilometer marathon, you got to pace yourself. So the tendency is to kind of take right off, full speed, and burn your way through. But then we realize that no, actually, it takes some time to become Krishna conscious, and we don't have. We need to mature, and at the same time, we appreciate people who have that initial. Like there's a Christian expression, "Lord, save me from the convert." You heard that one before? Lord, save me from the convert. There's people that get involved in religious movements, they tend to get way over the top. I'll end with this story. I met a man a few years ago at the Baltimore Rath Yatra. I was just there kind of floating around. He had a red t-shirt on that said Jesus saves or something on this. We just started talking, his wife was there. And I asked him, tell me about yourself and about this t-shirt you're wearing. And he explained that he used to have a drinking problem. He actually was cheating on his wife, and he was a miserable, fallen guy. And somehow he became religious. He got Jesus, accepted him as a savior. I'm sure he would have expressed it that way. And it turned his life on. He's not drinking anymore. He was cheating on his wife, and he's out there. It was Memorial Day weekend. He could have been doing anything. He's out there witnessing about his religious experience. And I was just so impressed. I said, that's fantastic. It's great, I knew he was going to ask me anyway, so I beat him to it. I said, will you pray for me? Because he's going to want to pray for me. I said, will you please pray for me? That felt great. And his sometimes overzealousness, we're a little bit, Hare Krishnas used to be really famous for being overzealous. Like the whole country knew we were overzealous. So let's put it nicely. We were a little obnoxious. But that's kind of to be understood in the early days of you're very enthusiastic about something, you get more mature and you see it longer term. Sometimes like young parents, maybe they're a little heavy on their kids. You should do this. Maybe like your second or third kid, you're kind of like, what do you think about this? Ideally you learn that in your first kid, right? But you read a book or something, your own mom, grandma would tell you, don't talk to your kids like that, they're not going to respond. But sometimes it takes your own maturing a little bit. So we shouldn't lose the enthusiasm or the intensity, but we learn how to maybe present it a little bit better. Prabhupada wrote one letter to some followers where he was they were reporting different things, and they were complaining a little bit how it's hard to get along with other people and devotees, and they're not very serious with this. So Prabhupada wrote back and he said, as far as your relationship with so-and-so, he said, please just try to tolerate them the way I tolerate you. So we have to be a little gentle sometimes. So we should stop the book. Yeah, it's okay. I don't want to make it mistake. Okay, there's a few people going upstairs, so that's okay.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, one question.
Come on, two.
No, but this corner is too dominant.
I have a question that you said that you threw the braids. What made you start Japan seriously, chanting? What thought? At what age you
Well,
started?
because they explained to me I was doing it wrong, right? And they explained to me how important it was. And it's not my forte in spiritual life. Krishna knows that. And, some people It's just that we see that there's variety in Krishna consciousness. A lot of times people from the outside think like Hare Krishnas, you all just follow your principles and you're like, robots. But there's some people that love deity worship. I mean, that's the whole reason they come is because of deity worship. And some people love to make outfits for the deities. And some people love to cook for the deities. And some people love to play Madanga. And some people love to manage. Some people love to solve problems. Some people love to paint pictures of Krishna. Some people love to chant japa. Some people love to study the scriptures. I mean, really, really, really study. So there's different natures. We all have different natures. Arjuna was a warrior. I mean, that's why it's such a wonderful example. Like, how do you use your warfare skills for God? It doesn't fit. But I think in part Krishna, he probably explains in the Bhagavatam that Krishna, one of the abilities of God is he can do a lot of things with one action. So by having Arjuna there, it's such a complex situation. So no matter how complex our lives are, it's nothing like Arjuna. And then also that he's a warrior. How do you use that for God? Well, he shows you can do it with devotion. So whatever our particular attraction is to Krishna, he's all attractive. Just develop that. There's basic minimums. But above and beyond that, just develop that, whatever our purpose. There's some people that love to go out chanting in the streets for hours at a time. Not everybody can do that. We all should do a little bit of that, but everybody can do that a lot. So different natures. And that's fine, that's great. Whatever you like to do it for Krishna. Back to you, Prabhu.
Okay, I'll go first.
Oh, okay. You're kind of out of the corner, so.
I'm not in that corner. So, like you mentioned, Krishna mentioned surrender to me, right? And somehow, like whenever we bring up this topic, surrender to Krishna, right? People say be practical. So where do you draw the line between being realist and practical versus surrender to Krishna?
Because sometimes we try to surrender in impractical ways. Is that it?
No, I mean, like, when you say being practical, it means you don't believe in
Well,
Krishna.
surrender is a word like in English. It's got this really negative connotation. Like the South surrendered to the North. The Japanese surrendered to MacArthur. Napoleon surrendered and they sent him to an island. Hitler should have surrendered, but he killed himself first. It's like, wow, that's surrender. I was just thinking about this a couple of days ago. I mean, in part, surrender is okay. Follow the order of the spiritual predecessors because ultimately it's good for you. And it may not be what we'd be naturally inclined to do. So, in that sense, surrender. But also, it really means, surrender. Even in this world, they talk about if you love somebody, you surrender to them, isn't it? Mostly married people here. If you love your wife, sometimes you just got to surrender. She doesn't want you to do that. So you're like, I like doing it. Typical male thing. I really like this old T-shirt, but I know it upsets you when I wear it, so I'm gonna throw it away. As painful it is, my favorite T-shirt, full of holes, but I know you don't. I'm gonna throw it away, right? For the wife, it's like whatever it is. So, we know men are completely reasonable creatures, so it's hard to give an example that way. But I'm joking there, of course. But that love means it's like you have your kids. You want to go on vacation to the mountains, and the kids want to go to the beach, right? And you're the one that makes all the money, and you're the one that's going to drive the car, and you're the one that's going to pay the credit card when it comes back, and you're the one that knows. However way I said, the mountains are twice expensive. But that's what they want to do. And if you love them, you surrender to them. So in a similar way, we see it here, reflection, describing this reflection of the spiritual world. So we see here that if you love somebody, then you surrender to, you accept what they like. And our philosophy is that there's a supreme person is the Supreme Person who has all wonderful, wonderful qualities and knows what's best for us. And not to get into this too much because it's another 20 elections, but when you surrender to Him, He surrenders to you. Like, how's that possible? I mean, socially, we know that, like for Krishna to drive the chariot of Arjuna, he's God, and he became his taxi driver. Like, why is God why is he being a taxi driver? Because that's the way he reciprocates with his devotees. I mean, right? Kartik sees him coming up and, Yashoda ties him up. He says, okay, she's my mother. Let me tie me up. And Radharani chastises him, those are really high understandings. But get back to the body, but when we realize who is this person that we're asked to surrender to, he's not an ordinary person.
That's where most of the debate is, right? Like for example, when I gave examples of Srila Prabhupada, he was 70, right, and he had a heart attack on the ship. Still he had surrendered to Krishna and he came to US. The book Chasing Rhinos is all about that. When a normal person thinks.
And Prabhupada also went back to India
Yes.
to get his health there.
So when you think
So
practically.
surrender doesn't mean be crazy. Surrender means I do what I'm going to do what's best for Krishna. And just like with our body and our family, it doesn't mean that, okay, surrender to Krishna, I don't take care of my family. Well, that's stupid.
Mhm.
Because Krishna doesn't just want you, he wants your family. And, I'm going to surrender to Krishna but not mow the lawn so that everybody that drives by can think, those Hare Krishnas are really unkept people. They don't know how to mow the lawns. Right? I'm going to surrender to Krishna, I mean, all my money to Krishna and not buy a new shirt so that everybody in the office knows I'm some kind of religious nut. Right? What is that? But surrender to Krishna, okay, maybe I buy the $30 shirt, I don't buy the $150 shirt that nobody knows except me unless I tell them all because I'm trying to, your friend in the office maybe says, yeah, you see my new $150 shirt. I know yours won't. What is that? Right? So surrender to Krishna means we do practical things and we do them for Him. You still have to have a house, you still got to get your roof fixed, you still got to drive your car, you still put gas in your car. But you remember, I'm putting gas in the car because it's Krishna's car. I'm feeding my kids not just because I have to feed my kids. And, right, I'm sure I'm not a mom. I'm sure there's some days it's like moms just love to cook for their kids, and other days it's like I have to cook for my kids. Right? And I'm stupid, right? But it's like you do it because you love your kids. So that's the happiness and the stress that comes and goes. So out of the love for the children, or out of the love for the family, the father, these days also the mom, goes to work a lot of times. Because you love the family. So you do it whether you like it or not. Because it's an expression of your love. So that's a reflection of our spiritual relationship with Krishna. So surrendering, it's a little, okay, let me do a little bit more for Krishna. And then gradually realize that actually, Prabhupada says sometimes that you perform austerity for Krishna, and you realize there's no austerity. What's the austerity? It's not austerity. Taking a shower every day? That's not austere. I mean, you see people that don't take showers, you're like, how do you do that? That's miserable. Right? So, yeah. Okay, back to the corner.
So, in this verse, Prabhupada writes in the purport towards the end, steady consciousness is Krishna consciousness.
Okay.
So, we identify ourselves as body, right? So there's also a saying, good stress and bad stress are not bad, right? The body doesn't recognize good stress and bad stress.
He says such steady consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. Yeah. That, he says, the soul knows their constitutional position perfectly well without falsely trying to become one with the Supreme in all respects. This is called Brahman realization or self-realization. Such steady consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. So whether it's happiness or distress or success or failure or fame or infamy, I just go on trying to serve Krishna.
But even to that extent of understanding, we are not this body, we are the soul. So we are practicing the word. So we are not like we have attained Brahman realization. Probably may not happen in this lifetime.
Yeah, we're working on it, yes.
So how do we become equipoised?
Equipoised.
As you are practicing,
Don't quit.
from
That's what it means to be equipoised. You don't quit. It's raining, you go to work. It's snowing, you go to work. The sun's out, you go to work. Okay? The boss says, great job, you go to work. The boss says, I might fire you, you go to work. Right? You know, the kids are like little angels, you cook for them. They're like little devils, you cook for them. Right? So we try to serve Krishna, and you know, sometimes we fail. You know, you try to do something you really hope will be nice, and you mess up. I said, it doesn't happen to me very often. Just yesterday, this morning, I wrote a message. Something happened, and somebody wrote a message and said, yeah, that person was a little more kind of sensitive than it should have been. So I wrote back and I said yes, and then I kind of explained, actually they had done a similar thing in the past, and that's why I had to come across so forcefully in my previous email. And I pushed send, and then the next day I got a message back from the person that I named saying, who are you talking about? I was like, oh no. And then I looked at it, when they had written to me, they had copied it like a bunch of people. And I didn't look, I thought, you know, you just assumed that they wouldn't be so careless, which means I was careless. So I had to like, you know, I am really, you know, I wrote, I said, you know, I work in communications, I'm always reminding people, be careful what you send and who you send it to. And this time, I blew it. And I apologize, and I really have to learn from this, and I'm really sorry. You know, and it's like, okay, what do? You still got to channel Krishna, you still got to work with those people. And I got a few people mad at me for hopefully not too long. But, you know, it's like, it's not like, okay, I made a mistake, so now I can't write any more emails. Now I, you know, handle something wrong, so I shouldn't share my opinion on other things. So the same way, it's just, your question, how do we be equipoised? A few years ago, okay, Grahasta, nice business, give a lot of money to Krishna, nice house, nice car, you know, something in the bank, 3 stores, things are going great, and all of a sudden Krishna said, okay, get a different plan for you, stores are closing, house is going away, this and that. And I was sitting in Mayapur chanting japa to Paladananda Swami, a good friend of mine. And I leaned over to him and I said, Maharaj, right in the middle of japa, I said, Maharaj, how do you become detached? Because I'm seeing like, you know, ultimately I'm not this body, it's not my stuff, but it's a little tough, you know, it's like, and you don't know what's going to happen, so you'll think, Krishna, I hope you're going to pull this out. I don't know why you're doing this to me, but ultimately it's good for me. So I leaned over, it's the sannyasi, right, in front of Prabhupada in Mayapur, said, Maharaj, how do you become detached? He gave like a classic sannyasi answer. He said, oh, you don't have to worry about that. Krishna will take care of that. I was like, thanks a lot. That was a perfect answer. It was a perfect answer. You don't have to worry about that. Krishna, okay, Krishna. Okay, Krishna. Prabhupada explained his father, it's a similar thing. He said, like, you know, some of his manifestations, right? Krishna's Vishnu has many arms. So he said, God with his 10 arms, and I have my 2. If he wants to give me with 10 hands and I have 2, how much can I take? But if he wants to take with his 10 hands and I have my 2, how much can I defend? So that's part of it. It's like, okay, Krishna. You know? And what's really scary, I think, for all of us is we're kind of hoping and praying that Krishna has our best interest in mind, which is a big part of the anxiety of when we're in a materialistic consciousness, because you wonder, is it a friendly universe? Right? I mean, in a lot of ways, it's not a friendly universe. And you read about, again, the atrocities and the horrible things going on in the world, and you think, oh my gosh, whatever it is, 57,000 people killed in Gaza in the last year. Like, wow. And how many of their friends and family members affected by that? You know, it's horrible. And people in this country, I mean, whatever our politics are, whether you think it's good or bad, it's pretty rough to be picked up by the government one day and put in something and then sent to another country where you don't speak the language. That's rough. So there's a lot of suffering going on. But as we learn more about Krishna, understand more about karma, and of course we feel pain for the suffering that's going on. And for ourselves, we gradually just develop this faith, gradually realization, actually Krishna is my best friend. And sometimes it's really tough, like I give this example of this friend of mine, and I don't know what to say, I'm just like with them as best I can be, not as good as I should be. But it's, how do you say it? How do you understand? The teenage daughter is like, you know, serious mental health, a lot of pain, and all the trouble for the parents, and they're just wondering what can they do, and they try this. The doctors are trying this medication, that medication, nothing seems to work. And all kinds of problems with the medical system because she's an adult. So many things. It's really hard sometimes to understand how is it that Krishna's there and he's my friend. But for most of us, most of the time, if we learn to understand about Krishna, yeah, actually he's there. And like the Pandavas, I mean, 12 plus 1 year in the forest. That's what your pure devotees get, Krishna, right? But sometimes people like the story of who's the Brahmin? Sudama Brahmin, right? Who Krishna took his friend to school. Right? They allowed that story. He gave God some flat rice, and he gives you a palace. Wow, I like that kind of God. But the same Krishna sometimes takes it away. Same Krishna was like he put Arjuna in the battlefield. It was painful. It was painful. But they had that vision. So we have to cultivate that vision, we have to cultivate faith in Krishna. And then we see how he's there. And to try to really see he's actually here in every moment. At every moment. I think that's when it really becomes a little exciting to be devotees, like we're looking, where's Krishna? What are you teaching me today? What's going to happen today? What good news, bad news, ugly news is going to come my way today that's going to help me become more convinced of my spiritual nature and help me become more detached. What people are you going to bring into my life that I can try to help them a little bit, come towards Krishna or alleviate some of their suffering in this world, and just like every moment it's like, wow, what a great, another opportunity, another opportunity, another opportunity. And the materialistic mentality will end with this. It's another opportunity for something temporary. So if you win, you're still full of anxiety, because when you lose it. If you lose your anxiety, because you lost it. Sometimes my observation is like, I don't know, many of you listen to Western pop music, but rock and roll music is all about hankering. I can't wait to do this, can't wait to, when I get the girl, when I get the boy, I'll be happy. Country Western music, if you ever listened to that, it's all about lamentation. I lost the boy, I lost the girl. It's really funny. It's really funny.
That's just called blues.
Yeah, the blues, and also blues and lamentation. Yeah, it's like this world full of hankering and lamenting. So as devotees, it's like I want to just try to think about Krishna, do things for Krishna. The ups and downs are going to come and go. And just, as it described, if you're in the middle of the ocean and the waves are rocking you, whatever you do, don't jump on the boat. Sometimes you think, oh, I just got to jump on the boat, then I'll be okay. No. It's tougher out there.
Can you share a thought?
Share a thought. Okay. What time is it? Are they eating upstairs or just the foolish people that still don't know? All the new people that don't know what's going on upstairs? Is that what's happening? We don't know. Okay, sure. One last thought?
Yes.
Okay, and then we stop. We go.
So, I was in a ship last week. And
A ship?
Yeah, I was going from one island to the mainland
Okay.
in Europe somewhere. And I was standing at the back of the ship and just watching the horizon. Then I saw when the ship moves, it makes a lot of waves, like very turbulent
Wake, right? The wake.
waves, yeah, right? Very turbulent waves. I was looking at it, then I was thinking about life. Like that. Life is like that. Is so many waves, turbulent waves come. And then after a while, those waves became very
Flatten out.
flatten out. And they look far away, like very calm sea. So then I thought, like, why can't our lives be like a calm sea? It would be really good. Why doesn't Krishna make it like that? I was thinking about it. Then I saw the waves, the wake again. Right? Then another thought came to my mind that life is like this. That those turbulence will come. Right? We just have to understand that after a while, the turbulence will go away, and we will be like the calm sea.
Yeah, and the reason it's not a calm sea is we're in the wrong place. Remember, like a fish out of water. It's not our home. I mean, and one thing's interesting, and that's the message of every spiritual tradition in the world. This is not our home. We're not supposed to be here. Whether it's Judaism or Christianity, I don't know much about Judaism, but definitely Christianity for sure is there. Islam is there. Buddhism is definitely there. It's not a place. We're in the wrong place. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada.
Yes. So now we have prasad. I just need a couple of volunteers to get the prasad down.